Good morning and welcome to the California Lodging Investment Conference's CLIC Virtual. Been a year since our last in-person event, and we've all been through so much, and we have a lot to talk about. We are bringing you today's hospitality leaders from various disciplines to give you the best possible picture of the California hotel market. We want you to be fully immersed in today's program. You can video chat with everyone as long as you've completed your profile and saved it. So make sure you do that if you haven't done that already. We will be taking questions. On the right-hand side of the screen, you will see chat. Make sure that you're on that particular position in that box, and then you can key in questions. We'll be more than glad to get to those with Bruce towards the tail end of his opening remarks, and we'll also be doing that with both the panels as well. We did put a cap on the number of attendees today. We wanted you to be fully immersed and have a great experience. So we do have our guest exhibit room hall open. You'll be able to go into everybody who has an exhibit room and download information. You'll be able to chat with them one-on-one or in groups of up to 15. So, with that, I want to thank the team behind the scenes, Arnie Garfinkel. He and I have gone through some 70 platforms, and this is the one that we came up with. It was the easiest for you, the attendees, to use. I'd also like to thank my son, Sean, and my daughter-in-law, Carissa, for their never-ending support and love. And you know what? We're going to kick this off 2021 style right now. I want to welcome to the stage Mr. Bruce Ford, who just celebrated 25 years with Lodging Econometrics. We are going to be discussing with Bruce the construction pipeline, repositioning and rebranding of hotels, and so much more. So I'm venturing to guess that we've got a robust pipeline. Bruce, welcome to the stage, and how are you, my friend?
Craig, I'm doing wonderful today, and thank you so much for your introduction and your heartfelt effort to bring this together today. It's almost 1 year ago we were together. It was the last time I visited Logan Airport in Boston, and can't wait to go back soon enough. Soon enough.
I'm going to disappear now. It's all yours, my friend.
Thank you, Craig. So warm regards to everybody here today. It's wonderful to be with you. It's great to have so many friends here back again for the California Lodging Investment Conference. If you haven't seen one of my presentations or demonstrations during the pandemic, today is going to be a little bit different. My purpose today is to talk to you a little bit about the status of new construction, to talk about the status of renovations, conversions, sales transactions, but also to give you the status of our expectation about when travel demand is going to return and how all of the actors in the industry are relating to that return to travel demand and when they're expecting it and how they're preparing for it. Full discussion about hotel real estate and where we are today. March 4th, 2021. So much of what we do at Lodging Econometrics is about maintaining a database of information. All records that you see today, all numbers that you see today are independently verified by our research staff and continue to be verified as our database refreshes every week. All the numbers you see today are as of the year end, 2020. And continue to be refreshed every week. I have a few staff members in my virtual guest room today. Carlos Quiones and April Bedell are more than happy to review any additional information that you're interested in about hotel real estate. Our team members are constantly contacting the top owners, management companies, and franchise companies across the United States to recheck and re-verify really 5 things they may be doing in the industry today. What are they building? What are they converting? What are they renovating? What are they buying? What are they selling? And then even that last one, what management contracts might they be picking up along the way, as we have some really experienced management teams in the audience today that are looking to help those who may not have the experience to manage out of this downturn. So a lot of that experience is built over time. And one of the first things that we're going to talk about today is really what's happening with government assistance out there in the industry, and how does it relate to you as a hotel owner, to you as a supplier of products, to you as a supplier of services, or to you as an industry participant. So the Small Business Administration, with the latest COVID relief, is now allowing small SBA loans at 3.5 times your monthly average payroll for 2019. This was passed in January of 2021, became available for those loans on January 19th of 2021. It was 2.5 times with the last relief bill in June of 2020, and it is expected that there will be some new information on the COVID new package that they're putting together and hopeful to pass as it's in the Senate right now. There was also an extension of the TDR, or the Troubled Debt Relief, which makes it less advantageous for lenders to aggressively pursue possession of troubled hotels. It also helps with the individual hotel owners in the workout model, and it also includes an extension of the employee retention program for those hotels that have been able to keep staff on and have some of that funded by the government with tax breaks and Small Business Administration loans that can be forgiven if you follow the rules. As I mentioned, the COVID relief package, the new one, is currently in the Congress right now and being vetted and negotiated to create a Senate bill that can be passed to reach the president's desk. A big portion of how new travel demand is going to return has everything to do with vaccinations. And it has been a battle to get the vaccines approved. We now have 3 vaccines approved in the United States, and we have a new agreement on the 3rd vaccination for Merck to assist Johnson & Johnson with a high-speed production at the safest and fastest rate that they possibly can with the one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine, to the point where the president said this week that he's actually moving his timeline up to May, when there will be enough vaccine for every adult American to receive it. That is unprecedented change in just 2 months of a new administration, and really quite outstanding for the American people, and really tremendous news for the travel industry and everybody that's joined here today. Vaccinations is going to make a difference in how companies react, how their employees react, and how travel demand returns out there in the industry. As of this morning, I saw 56 million vaccinations in the United States, and is rising at a rate of about 1.9 million vaccinations per day. And that is a dramatic turnaround, a more than doubling of the week prior to the new administration taking office. So the U.S. government is fully committed to a vaccination plan that is free to every citizen in the United States, and they are fully committed to getting that moving as fast as possible. And I think every person on this meeting today would tell you they've seen changes in the past 4 weeks at an accelerated rate for vaccination. So it's really a very positive thing. The industry has been strong through the pandemic, strong by those workers that have continued to work through the pandemic to offer services to their guests, strong in how they reacted to the pandemic by cutting costs, maintaining service levels that could be maintained, and closing hotels where they needed to be closed. I'm here to say today that that really has turned around at the beginning of 2021. We're seeing closed hotels open again. We're seeing hotels staff up again. We're seeing regional revenue management offices reopen again. We're seeing franchise sales begin again. We're seeing corporate offices restructure and begin the hiring process again. The industry is getting ready to return to work. The industry is getting ready to return to the cleanest, safest, most renovated hotel that they can. And the projects at these existing hotels is evident in the pipeline today. People recognize now that if they renovate prior to the return of demand, they're renovating a slow hotel, and it is much easier and more economical to do that, and they are beginning to take advantage of that. You'll see in the national numbers today, there are more rooms under renovation and conversion right now than there are new hotel rooms under construction in the United States. That change occurred here at the beginning of 2021. It is cyclically common for that to occur coming out of a downturn, and it is accelerating every week throughout the database as we monitor it. Something else that's beginning to accelerate as well is travel and people getting on airplanes again. When the Biden administration took office, they put a national mask mandate for every transportation hub in the country. It is no longer if I want to, it is you will or you won't travel. And that has continued throughout the country, and it has made a difference in how people think about travel. It is obviously safer and obviously makes sense out there. And we are now seeing just as a difference between December and March. So a 30-day moving average, the number of travelers checking into the TSA every day has gone from 760,000 people a day to now just over 830,000 people a day. So that's a remarkable movement in the past 60 days, 90 days, and it continues to go up. And the expectation is we may get back to 1 million travelers a day by the 1st of May. That would get us back to about 50% of the moving average, which would be a pretty big win for the travel industry and would truly signal that meetings are beginning again. Leisure travel is beginning in earnest. We're making a big dent in vaccinations. And keep in mind, if we're vaccinating 2 million people a day in the United States, that's 60 million people a month. We're just south of 60 million people right now that have been vaccinated. So those are going to come in very big chunks, and that will make a travel difference. Because we've all been home for the past 12 months. It's been 12 months since we've been on the road. This California Lodging Investment Conference was the last plane trip I took. I've traveled by car, not by plane. So owners are really trying to get ready for when that leisure travel does return in earnest. And we're going to begin to see the effects of that as they're hiring, as I mentioned, they're renovating, as I mentioned, all evidenced in the database. But also they're thinking about where can we deploy capital, where can we deploy our expertise through signing third-party management contracts, and they are aggressively seeking growth opportunities. There's been 6 portfolio transfers of great substance of more than 100 hotels. There's been management contracts moving around. It is truly a very active time in the industry because we have visibility. We have visibility for what has happened and what is scheduled to continue to happen. So comparing the end of the year 2020 nationally with the end of the year 2019, substantively, not a significant change in the pipeline. That's really lack of project announcements for 6 months in 2020. Also, opens that were at the highest rate that we'd seen in a while. So the pipeline is pretty stable at 650,000 guest rooms for new construction pipeline right now. If we were to say what happened after the banking crisis in 2008 for the pipeline across the country, after 12 months, the pipeline had reduced by 40%. Cancellations so far in the first 12 months of the pandemic have only been 4%. So it's a dramatic difference. The pipeline has not been vacated. It has not been abandoned. It has not gone away. There have been delays, and there have been, pushing the project out a little bit until more visibility returns. But we've even seen some of the projects that were pushed out from construction starting to begin construction. Projects that have been, 2 or 3 pushes of, I'm going to open in 3 months, I'm going to open in 3 more months. Now that is becoming visible that they are actually going to open, those hotels that have been delayed. The pipeline continues to be dominated nationally by these prototype, roadside, or suburban, upscale, and upper mid-scale hotels. We did have quite a swath of those that began in downtown urban centers, and of the 400 and plus or minus 40,000, of the 440,000 rooms between upscale and upper mid-scale, about 60,000 of those rooms would be what we call CBD developments, or downtown locations in the top 85 cities. So still a portion of them are in those downtown locations, but these prototype hotels are going up and are aggressively being pursued across the industry. And a reminder of something I would have said last time, between 2015 and 2020, there were 108 new brands that were announced in the United States. Since the pandemic began, there's been 12 new ones. So these large franchise companies control so much of the story and really continue to grow their pipelines. As you can see, this is not a dramatic drop-off. When you consider what they opened and the fact that the franchising business inside of these companies was largely closed for 6 months, this is actually nothing substantive to look at. Hilton is almost the same. A minor decline at IHG, but really explained by openings. Choice had a minor decline, but really explained by openings. And really what we're displaying here is a combination of new hotels that are signed that have not yet opened, and properties that are open that are going to convert to one of these companies' franchises. So we have a very clear picture of that anywhere you want to look in the LE database, and updated and continually updated, so that the forecast we give you here is actually accumulated records from the database. So we did have in 2020, at the end of 2020, we had a little bit of a higher expectations for opens. But again, we saw some hotels choose not to open in the fourth quarter and to just push the opening of the hotel into the first quarter until there was more visibility economically, government-wise, and vaccine-wise. Those are really the 3 things that people are continuing to seek visibility on. And it's becoming more clear every day. Diving into California in some better detail, here I have a very unique table that I designed for CLIC last year that I have now refreshed. So the first bar, or the darker gray, left justified, is what is scheduled to open for new hotel rooms by market area here in 2021. The lighter gray, or the second set of bar as you look across the screen, is in fact the scheduled number of rooms that are scheduled to open for new hotels in 2022. What you see here in 2023 is really the evidence of just the delay in the pipeline, not the cancellation, but the delay. Just about every construction project in California was delayed at least 4 months by construction moratoriums. And the average delay on a project is about 7 months in the state of California versus the United States, which is still under 6. But these projects were not abandoned. They were not canceled. Some of them looked to renegotiate their brand agreements because they thought they'd get a better deal on the downturn. But many projects continue to remain in the pipeline. What does California look like for openings now by chain scale? And as you would expect, the upscale and upper mid-scale from a property standpoint, 64 of 92 openings happening in 2021 will be upscale and upper mid-scale. And then 80 of 114 scheduled in 2022 will be that upscale and upper mid-scale. And again, a good percentage of those are in those urban centers. Those high-rise upscale hotels are very popular in the urban centers in California. Also, there's a shared site component to many of these properties in upscale and upper mid-scale too. And if you want to seek more detail about shared sites, that's absolutely something we can help you with. Visit our virtual guest room. So we're going to bounce around to some cities as we have about some time left, and we're going to take a few questions at the end that Craig's going to be queued up for. But we're going to visit 6 or 7 markets here and talk a little bit about what the differences are between today and last year at this time. So in San Francisco, what I'm listing here are 3 very simple project stages at Lodging Econometrics for new construction. You're either physically under construction, you're scheduled to begin construction in the next 12 months, so those would be scheduled starts in 2021. And then you're announced, verified, but at this time, more than a year from construction start, also known as early planning. If we were comparing the record counts and the room counts for San Francisco last year to this year, it's really almost exactly the same for room counts and new construction. We had 8 new projects announced, and we had 7 openings. So it maintains its size and shape. What is up and is the number that stands out is the second box, which is the number of rooms under renovation. San Francisco Moscone Center, of course, opened new and refurbished in late 2019. And the expectation is this will be one of those markets when it becomes safer as the vaccines begin to grow in California and more people get vaccinated and travel becomes safer. San Francisco has one of the most renovated convention centers out there. And many of those conventions that in fact had booked in San Francisco, they don't cancel, they just push them out. So the schedule looks really quite good in San Francisco for 2022 and 2023 for conventions, and many hotels are renovating towards that inevitability. To San Jose, I was talking to Craig about San Jose this morning, of course, a highly tech area of the country. And as you're probably, many of you are aware, many of the tech companies have said that they will allow staff to remain permanently remote. In some cases, granting remote designations to employees that they know. But they have many of these campuses in large office space that they have within this market. And if you think about it, even as a remote employee, you still have to show up every now and then to headquarters. And there will be a time as this changes where many of these tech companies may become owners of hotels, because as travel demand continues to return and their employees need to come to headquarters, they may want control of some of the hotel real estate. And we do have a project on One Facebook Way here that's going to be a Citizen M hotel that would be evidence of that. And in many cases, this pipeline has not declined. In fact, it has grown. The San Jose pipeline has gone from just over 8,000 rooms in 2020 for new construction to now over 9,300 rooms in new construction. So, substantively, okay, The pipeline, this is one of the most active growth markets in the country for new construction, and you can see also active for quite a few other things, as there's been some transactions there, there's active renovations going on, as well as brands changing and conversion. So a highlightable market that's of note. To the state capital and looking at Sacramento and speaking a little bit about what's happening there. There's been 9 new project announcements in Sacramento since last year. And again, about the same in terms of number of rooms in the pipeline, 9 in, 10 opened. So just about the same. Probably a notable renovation number there too, about 2,000 rooms under renovation. And again, this is what LE has been able to aggregate in our database as active renovations today. And we do look for renovations that are of substance, typically $3 million spend or more on each one of those renovations. So it's not every single renovation, but we will pick up on all of the conversions and we will pick up on all of the transactions. But we think it's very representative of roughly maybe 80 to 85% of the activity that's currently going on for renovations. So definitely trend or trendable, if you will. In Los Angeles, had one of the biggest pipelines in the United States at the time the pandemic came. And that hasn't really dwindled that much. They've gone from 27.7 at this time last year to just over 25,000 rooms in the new construction pipeline still. So they did have some cancellations in Los Angeles, certainly, but many projects continue. Lots delayed because of the construction moratorium that was in place for a number of months. So lots of things have pushed out to 2023, but inevitably, everyone believes that travel demand will return, that conferences will return, that we'll be back together in Los Angeles, and this market was on the precipice of quite a bit of new supply demand coming, supply growth in 2021 and 2022. Now it's more shifted to late 22, 2023, and perhaps even 2024, but inevitably likely to be developed. Also in Los Angeles, a significant amount of transactions. There's quite a few hotels related to some of those big portfolio deals that occurred, lots of renovation and several conversions. As owners are really looking at their investments and saying, am I doing the best that I can in this particular location with the investment that I have? A couple more markets down in San Diego. Current status in San Diego, again, about the same. Projects in rooms under construction scheduled to begin in early planning. It's really within 100 rooms of where it was about a year ago. Not many cancellations here, about 6 new project announcements and 7 openings. In terms of renovation, that number continues to climb. San Diego also very popular convention market that is expected to bounce back in early 22. And so as a result, renovations begin. In San Diego also, of note, there are some larger hotels around the convention center that are under renovation as well. Some are already completed. So very active down in San Diego. Out in Riverside, San Bernardino, Palm Springs, pipeline has dwindled a little bit here. A lot of openings were scheduled in 2021 that did occur, so they had a big rush of supply opening. And in fact, that this market in general has done pretty well during the pandemic from an operating standpoint. So we haven't seen a lot of new announcements here, not keeping up with the number of openings. So we've gone from about 9,100 rooms in the pipeline down to 7,800. So a little bit of a decline here, but also pretty active on the renovation side in this market. And we will see still quite a few new openings in Riverside, San Bernardino. And finally, in Orange County and in Anaheim, still a number of hotels closed here as the Disneyland theme park has not reopened in California. I'm not sure what the path is for when that will reopen. I think the expectation is it's possible by summertime, but until they do, there will be such a reduction in demand here that it won't be worth it for many hotels to open. However, the renovation of the well-capitalized hotels is underway in this marketplace, and we've seen marked increases in renovations in the Anaheim area, not necessarily taking the whole hotel down, but renovating it kind of 300 rooms at a time, perhaps doing a tower or two in a multiple or a 20-story building, if you will. So again, representative activity here in Anaheim, just about the same, just down maybe 200 rooms from where we were last year. So ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure to be with you today. And I would like to say you should be encouraged by what we're seeing out there in the marketplace, because at the end of the day, we are all going to return to travel. We are all going to return to our ways of life, albeit it may be different from the way it's been over most of our professional career. But the expectation is that travel will begin to return here in the third and fourth quarter of 2021. And I hope that we will all be together in person for CLIC 5. Craig, thank you so much.
Bruce, thank you, my friend. And let me ask you, is this a robust pipeline that we have got going right now? What do you think?
I think that California has, and the developers in California do believe in the long-term vision. I think that's why we haven't seen a lot of cancellations in California. I also think from an operating standpoint, it's been a little bit better than expected. Some owners would tell you that we didn't do as bad as we thought we might. And that's because, as I said to you earlier, I think Californians have found out they have a beautiful state and they like to vacation in their own state. And so some markets have actually done quite well during the pandemic.
Absolutely. And, again, we were talking this morning, Central Coast has been doing great since mid last year. They've been at 95% occupancy. So we do have those havens throughout the state. And you're right. We do have, coastal California. There's nothing in the world like it. And you know that I'm a big fan of the state. So
100%.
Thank you for always bringing your A game and delivering great information. And please make sure that you go to the Lodging Econometrics room and you can download Bruce's information deck today, and it will be available on the CLIC website a little later. We're going to take a little bit of a break so that we can reset for our first panel of the day that's going to be moderated by the one and only Glenn Hausman. That is our hotel investment in a COVID-19 world. I do want to make one quick announcement right now. It has been a great pleasure to help support various trade organizations of ours and their scholarship programs. We are continuing to do that. And for the past 5 years, CLIA has kicked off their Dollars for Scholars program right here at CLIC. And that has started today. You can find out more information about that. If you're on LinkedIn, I've got a video out on that. And you can also go to the CLIC website at CLIconference.com and click on the link and go right to their Dollars for Scholars platform. So we'll be right back. Bruce, thank you again, my friend.